Right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Lovely to see you and see so many of you this afternoon, in spite of the weather, or perhaps it's because of the weather you're here, not on the beach. But thank you very much for coming along to this fifth and final concert in what we're called the Church Concert Series. We've had some wonderful concerts, and I know we'll have some wonderful music today. The bar is going to be open afterwards if you want to avail yourself of a drink. And there are lunches available in the church hall where the photographic exhibition is, so doing plamons and cakes and things like that. As you notice, you don't have to pay to come to these concerts, unlike the rest of the week when you will have to pay lots of money to come to the concerts. But as on your exit, you want to give us something. And these nice little yellow envelopes, if you're a taxpayer and you put your address on, we can get some nice money back from Mr. Rishi Sunak. So what helps, because as you can imagine, over the last 16 months, the church's income has not been quite what it should have been and could have been. So all help is gratefully received. So as I say, this is the final concert in the series, and we're delighted that Serendipity Trio is with us today. So I'll hand over to them, and I believe Anna's going to introduce the first part of the lunchtime recital. So give a warm welcome to Serendipity, please.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this concert of music for flute, clarinet and bassoon. This is actually our third concert that we've managed with this ensemble. We had actually set up just before COVID hit to form an ensemble, but obviously COVID had other thoughts. We've done St Peter Mancroft we played in last week, which was absolutely beautiful, and the week before that we were in this part of the world again. We were playing in Burnham Thorpe, Nelson's church, which was very different than St Peter Mancroft, but a beautiful little church. So we're very grateful that we've actually got another live audience, because it's a real treat for musicians to actually be able to play to live people. And we have a programme of music which is largely focused on French composers from 1863 to 1983, which was obviously an era when wind chamber music was very popular in France. But we're also going to be visiting composers from Austria, Germany and America, as you will see from your programme. So there's very little information on our first composer, Charles Huguenin, except that he was a Frenchman, and his dates are 1875 to 1950, so he's kind of sort of late romantic going into what would be considered a sort of more modern period of classical music. So this trio, which is usually not for flute, is usually for oboe, bassoon and clarinet, was first published in 1910, and there's several separate movements, each dedicated to different friends of his. So there's a marsietta, a Sicilienne, a minuet and a gavotte, so they're all dance movements. So after that, our second piece we will play is by a German composer of the name of Kummer. His dates are 1795 to 1850, and he was a flautist as well as a professor, and he published over 150 compositions, most of which included the flute. So our second piece will be the first movement of Kummer's trio Opus 32 in F major, published around 1827, which is a romantic style piece with some beautiful melodies, as well as some virtuosic passages for all instruments. So we hope you enjoy our first two pieces. Okay. So our third piece is by probably a better known Frenchman of the name of Jacques Ibert, whose dates are 1890 to 1962. So much more of the sort of more modern era of classical music than the romantic of the first two composers you've already heard. So Ibert studied at the Paris Conservatoire, and he won the top prize that every composer would strive to win, which was the Prix de Rome. And he pursued a successful composing career, writing 7 operas, 5 ballets, music for films and plays, and piano and chamber music. So later, after being exiled in Switzerland in World War II, he became director of the Paris Opera and the Opera Comique. So the 5 little pieces that we're going to play for you were composed in 1935, and the basic structure is that there are sort of 2 andantes between 3 allegros, and he did actually call it 5 pieces, but there is a sort of a unity to the work, and it could easily have been called a trio. It's neoclassical in style in that it refers to characteristics of older type of music put together in the more modern way. And the opening allegro is march-like in humour. The andante is lyrical and actually begins with a conversation between the clarinet and the flute. And there follows then a brief allegro which has got dancing rhythms and another lyrical andante which then leads to rather a joyful finale. So to sum up Ibert, his biographer summed up his musical style by saying, his music can be festive and gay, lyrical and inspired, or descriptive and evocative, often tinged with gentle humour. And this, I think, you will see in these pieces. Thank you.
So we're going to take a little sidestep now from all the French music, and we're going to visit some Bernstein. Bernstein was the son of a Ukrainian and Jewish parents. At a very young age, he listened to a piano performance and he immediately wanted to play. He subsequently began learning the piano seriously when the family acquired his cousin's unwanted piano. As a child, he was very close to his younger sister Shirley, and he would often play entire operas or Beethoven symphonies with her at the piano. Bernstein went on to study music at Harvard. The 3 songs we are playing are from West Side Story, probably his best-known work, and a tour de force in the field of musicals. Based on Romeo and Juliet, but set in New York, the rival families in Shakespeare's play are represented by street gangs from New York and Puerto Rico. Rhythmically and melodically challenging, it incorporates jazz to represent the Jets and Latin rhythms to represent the Sharks. I Feel Pretty is one of the easier listening songs in the show, whereas Somewhere starts with the unusual and haunting interval of a minor seventh, and America contains both lively rhythms and alternating time signatures. After that, we're going to be playing a piece of, Auric. Now, Auric was one of Les Six, which was a group of 6 French composers who decided they did not want to be influenced by the Russian and German Western European composers of the time. So Auric... Sorry, I'd left that bit on the floor. Auric studied at the Paris Conservatoire and he studied both piano and composition and was considered a child prodigy. He composed many and varied works, but most definitely his favourite style was for wind chamber ensemble, and I think it shows definitely in the piece that we're going to play of his this afternoon. Thank you. So our next French piece is by another one of Lacey's, and that is Mio. He was born in France in 1892, and his music is influenced by both jazz and Brazilian music, and contains polytonality, which means the music is in several keys at once. It's not that we're playing it wrong. He was one of the first modernist composers. He also studied at the Paris Conservatoire. The Second World War unfortunately forced Mio and his family to move to America, where he taught piano, and Dave Brubeck was one of his most famous pupils, along with Burt Bacharach, to whom he said, "Don't be afraid of writing something people can remember and whistle. Don't ever feel discomforted by a melody." And the next piece after that is in fact a set of pieces by Mozart. It's quite hard to summarise Mozart in about 3 sentences, but I will tell you he was a prolific woodwind composer. His octets are some of the most beautiful woodwind music in the repertoire. He also was particularly a pioneer of the clarinet, and in fact he wrote the first clarinet concerto. This piece is originally for 2 clarinets and bassoon and has been transcribed for our particular combination. It's called Divertimento No. 1, and we're going to be playing 4 movements from it, which are the Allegro, then an Adagio, then a Minuet, and finally finishing with a very jolly rondo at the end. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. So our final piece, we're going to return to America with the composer Charles Fernandez, who is still very much alive and kicking. He is an Emmy-nominated composer, and he works as a composer, as an orchestrator. He's also a bassoonist, an educator and conductor. He has composed for many animated TV series, including Disney's Little Mermaid and Aladdin, as well as 101 Dalmatians. His more recent works for concert performance include a concertina for tuba and concert band, a piece for saxophone sextet with harp, very unusual combinations, a wind quartet, and this trio that we will play the final movement of. So the whole trio is called the Americana Trio, but we're going to play the final movement, which is called a frolic, hopefully for obvious reasons. We do hope you've enjoyed our concert. If anybody is interested in a concert in a church or music for weddings or any functions, there are some leaflets on the back table if you'd be interested in taking one. Thank you very much.
us up again in September, and I hope you'll be able to join those Wednesday lunchtime concerts. But I'm sure we'd love to give Serendipity another round of applause. So, thank you very much.